Hello and welcome to this ThinkScape tutorial. Today we're going to look at adding an email address into Microsoft Outlook 2010. First thing we need to do before we proceed is to get out the email settings that we were supplied by ThinkScape when your website hosting was set up. And these will include your email address details, password and server settings. Once you've done that, open up Microsoft Outlook and click on the File menu. Just to note that on previous versions of Microsoft Outlook, or indeed on similar email programs, you will generally find the email account settings under something like Options or Properties or even email account settings. In Outlook, what you need to do then is click on Add Account. And this starts off a wizard where you start entering your details for your email account. In our example today, we're going to set up an email address for Joe Bloggs, whose email address is joe.bloggs@thinkscape.ie. So the first thing you're asked for is the person's name. So we'll enter in Joe Bloggs, and then email address is joebloggs@thinkscape.ie. We will have supplied you with a password for your email addresses with our web hosting documentation. So enter in the password details, taking care to enter in the password exactly as it was supplied to you. This is very important because if one character is wrong, you will not be able to collect your email. Next, we need to select manually configure server settings here and then click on next. And then internet email, which is the default setting, we'll leave that and click on next. And then we're brought to a screen where we're asked to enter in the server information. In our example, we're going to set up what's called a POP3 email account. And what that means is when you collect your email off the web server, it is deleted off the web server and it is now on your computer. The other type of email account you could set up is called an IMAP account, and where you would set that up is, for example, if you have a computer in your office that collects email, but you also have, say, you could have a laptop at home or a smartphone device such as an iPhone. You basically want to be able to get the email on the two devices. Then you should set up an IMAP email account, particularly on the device such as the smartphone, the device that's not the main device. Just to bear in mind that if you do set up an IMAP mail account, the mail is stored on your web hosting server and that is taking up space on your web server. So in our example, we're going to choose POP3, and that means for the incoming mail server setting, we enter the POP3 email setting that was supplied. If you decide to set up an IMAP mail account, you need to make sure in this box you type in the IMAP mail server account. In our example for POP3, the mail server account is pop33or.cp.blackknight.com. Next box is the outgoing mail server or SMTP server. Now generally we will say to customers to set up the one that we supply. You may choose to use depending on your setup of your mail system at home or in your office, wherever you're using it. You may have been advised by your IT manager to use a particular SMTP server. If that's the case, you can use your SMTP server as you have been to date. Otherwise, our SMTP server setting has been supplied to you. And in this example, it's smtp1or.cp.blackknight.com. Next, we're asked to enter in login information. So the username is the email address, and in this example, it's joebloggs@thinkscape.ie. And we supplied you with the password with your hosting documentation. So again, just make sure you enter in the details as supplied. By default, Microsoft Outlook has the box Remember Password ticked. Basically that means whenever you collect email, you don't need to enter in a password every time you collect the email. If you want this security setting activated, simply untick this box, and then anytime you go to collect email, you're asked to enter in your username and password. You do not need to tick the box require logon using secure password authentication. Please leave that blank. If you choose to use our outgoing mail server setting, you need to click on the More Settings box over here and then select Outgoing Server along the top here, and then tick the box My Outgoing Server SMTP requires authentication. Now by default, this version of Outlook has an option use same settings as my incoming mail server. You may not have that option on your version of Outlook or on the email program you're using. So if you're asked to enter in a username and password, they're the same as your incoming mail server settings. So the username is your email address, in this example, joe.blogs@thinkskip.ie, and the password as supplied to you. Then click on OK, and then click on the next button here. And Microsoft Outlook performs a quick test just to make sure that the settings are okay. And as you can see, it says, congratulations, test completed successfully. If you get an error message, it's most likely to be the fact that the password has been typed in incorrectly, or perhaps the username. So if you do get some sort of error saying something wrong with the username or password, go back and check those details and then try again. Then click on close, and then you're brought to the finish. And there you have it. You have added an email address into Microsoft Outlook.